Hello everybody, my name is Happy and I'd like to welcome you all to my History Reaction channel. Today we're going to be returning to Sabaton for the Winged Hussars. As always, I will include a link to the original video in the description down below. If you like what you see here, please head over to Sabaton, show them some love and support for the work that they put into these videos and into their music in general. It's rare that you find a good musical group or individual for that matter, that really centers their music on historical events. There are a few out there, and Sabaton is obviously one of the leaders today. And so far, I've liked everything I've seen by them. But I'm kind of been looking forward to this one because this is, from what I can tell, the Siege of Vienna, which is an absolutely pivotal battle in the latter half of the 17th century. It is the Ottoman Empire, kind of at their height. They're going to kind of lose their momentum at this particular point. And they're up against the Holy League. This is a coalition formed around the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Holy Roman Empire, and some of the Germanic states, with the support of the Pope and the Vatican. So it's a major battle. It's going to be kind of the turning point for the Ottomans because if they succeed here, they're going to have unlocked access to Central Europe and the potential for greater expansion in that direction. If they fail, well, this'll be at this point, it's kind of the beginning of the end for them. If they fail here, they're not really ever going to be able to push into further into Europe like they were kind of hoping to. A major battle, and of course, the Winged Hussars are going to play a pivotal role in this with their famous charge down the mountain slope into, I believe it was the right flank of the Ottomans, completely routing them. It is one of the largest, if not the largest, cavalry charges that we know of, and it is absolutely impressive. And although this video is on the Winged Hussars, let's remember this is a coalition, and there are a lot of other people present from a wide variety of nations. This is also going to be kind of a return to glory for the Habsburgs, because they've been kind of losing control of Hungary. This is going to help them reestablish that. So, very pivotal battle. So let's see what Sabaton has to say about it. Here we go. Vienna, Austria, September. Okay, I'm going to turn the lyrics on just because my hearing, I sometimes can't tell what they're saying. But yeah, they were outnumbered. It was, across the entire siege, was about 10-1. Different encounters had different balances, but overall, I think it was like from 10 to 15,000 defenders on the European side versus 100 to 150,000 Ottomans. So very one-sided. But Vienna has great defenses. There is there's some high points here that can be critical to military control of the battlefield. And one of the big problems for the Ottomans is they don't secure some of this high ground like they probably should have. That allows the coalition to take advantage of it.
Sent a message to the sky, wounded soldiers left to die.
Probably not. Like I said, it depends on exactly which part of the battle we're talking about. Overall, it was roughly 10-1, but certain engagement would have been higher or lower than that. Is that call swaps they're throwing out there? Great.
And the battle's begun, and the Winged Hussars arrive. Coming down the mountainside.
Love that Winged Hussar design.
Coming down, they turn the tide.
So the coalition was led by John III, who was the king of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. The Winged Hussars are going to be their elite forces. The Wings were very intimidating in battle because, if you saw those coming, you knew you were fighting the best of the best of the best. You did not want those guys coming after you.
As the days are passing by, and as the dead are piling high, no escape and no salvation. Trenches to explosive halls are buried deep beneath the walls. Plant the charges there and watch the city fair.
Yeah, so the Siege of Vienna, there was a lot of sapping going on. That was Ottoman forces, sappers, primarily from the Balkans. I think many of those were they Serbian or Bosnian, one or the other. They had some specialists that were tunneling under the city and the bastions, trying to build large rooms. They'd fill them with explosives. Then you would backfill it so that the explosion would be directed upwards, which would blast a hole in the wall, kill the defenders above, and give you a breach to get through. These walls were designed for external attacks. Nothing can really survive a good blast from beneath. But while the Ottomans were doing their mines in to get underneath the walls, the defenders were also doing some countermining. And what that involved was digging tunnels. Well, you'd be listening. They actually had people assigned to listen for sounds of digging, but that was usually too late. In other words, if you hear digging, you're in trouble. You better hurry at that point. But they had counterminers that were digging, trying to intercept potential tunnels that were coming in, and that would lead to underground fighting. And these weren't tunnels where you could stand up. They were typically crouching or crawling. So really, really brutal warfare there underneath these walls as well. Fascinating stuff, it really is.
Desperation, desperation, it's a desperate race against the mind.
Yep.
And the race against time, and the Winged Hussars arrive. Coming down the mountainside.
That they did.
And the Winged Hussars arrive. Coming down, they turn the tide. Cannonballs are coming down from the sky. Janissaries, are you ready to die?
Ooh.
We will see their vengeance eye for a night. You'll be stopped upon the steps of our gate. On this field you're only facing our hate. And upon the Sultan sealing your fate.
So a couple of things there. First of all, they mentioned back at home the Sultan is sealing your fate. The Sultan wasn't really responsible for this particular siege. It was actually his Grand Vizier, his Jafar, if you will, that was behind this one. What was his name? Was it Mustafa? Something real close to Mustafa. Every time I think of the name, I get confused with Mustafa, and, so something similar to that. He decided to go for Vienna. He wanted to recreate the glory of Sultan the Magnificent. He had visions of glory and expanding Ottoman influence even further into Europe. And Vienna is absolutely critical to that. It controls a lot of the key points that allow access further into Central Europe. So if you have ambitions in that direction, you've got to take down Vienna. And he's the one that's primarily behind this. And he will actually be executed by strangling for the failure here. I'm not saying the Sultan wasn't involved, but it wasn't really his brainchild. It was his Grand Vizier's brainchild. But they also mentioned the Janissaries, and that's an absolutely fascinating topic because that is the elite of the Ottoman side. So you've got the elite Winged Hussars, but you've also got the elite Janissaries. And Janissaries are just fascinating because they are primarily made up, well, at this point, they would have been almost entirely made up of converted Christians. The Ottoman had a system, and I can't remember the name of it now. But they had a system in place where they would, every 3 or 4 years, they would go primarily to the Balkans, and they would requisition Christian children from the people in the Balkans. And then these children would be converted to Islam, they'd be circumcised, and they would be raised and trained as an elite force. Initially, they did this with captured Christians. But soon after, they put in a system where they would literally go into areas that they controlled, like the Balkans, and requisition children. Christian children, they'd raise them as Muslims. Initially, they were used militarily. Later, you'd also see them going into bureaucratic positions like the viziers, but that comes a little bit later from the inception of this program in the, I think, 1400s. But the Janissaries were very much the elite. They were typically directly answerable to the Sultan, and they were his personal bodyguard. That way, it gave the Sultan some leverage and his own personal force to counter the influence of some of the nobles and other influential members of the Ottoman society. So, really interesting stuff. So, we've got 2 elite forces on the battlefield. Here we go. Yeah, there was a height nearby, and like I said, I can't remember the name of the height now. The Ottomans had originally secured those heights, but the vizier and his advisors were too focused on the siege, so they left the heights lightly defended and focused their efforts on trying to take the city. That allowed the reinforcements from the Holy League to arrive, take the heights, and then charge down the mountainside. Like I said earlier, it's the largest known cavalry battle in history. There may have been others further back in antiquity that matched it, but as far as we know, this is the big one. And it was devastating. They just plowed right into the, I believe it was the right flank of the Ottomans. Totally broke morale. It was a complete collapse of morale. The battle should have been one-sided. The Ottomans had absolutely superior numbers. They should have had a good grip on those heights. They didn't. So, all credit to the Hussars and the coalition in general, but a lot of this was also bad planning and decision making on the part of the Ottomans. They really should have been more concerned about reinforcements than they were. Part of that is because they did not think the Europeans would be able to form an effective coalition fast enough to get in there and offer relief. And it's understandable they might have thought so, because historically Europe wasn't that great at coming together quickly. This was an exception. This was an enemy they could all kind of agree needed to be dealt with, and dealt with quickly, because Vienna is such a strategically important city. It cannot be allowed to fall into the hand of the Ottomans, which results in a quicker and more effective coalition coming together quickly, getting where they need to be, taking those heights, and just devastating a vastly superior army in terms of numbers. Truly is an impressive feat. I really like this one. This one, and this isn't their original video. The only one I could find from them was a live performance and the lyrics video. Then I found this one that showed a recreation, and I decided to go with this because I kind of wanted to get a visual look at it. But yeah, well done by Sabaton, as always. I'm definitely going to listen to this one again as soon as we finish this video, and I really liked it. This was a good one. And I've always just been kind of impressed by the Winged Hussars. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, this is kind of a resurgence for them, because they had been doing good earlier in this period. Then they kind of started going into decline, and just for this brief moment, they came back with a vengeance with this particular defense. Just absolutely epic. In fact, I've heard some people say that the Charge of the Rohirrim in Lord of the Rings was inspired by this. Tolkien often said he wasn't inspired by historical events, but most people don't really believe him on that regard, especially with World War I being something he personally experienced. But also, he knew his history pretty well. Even if he wasn't consciously influenced, he probably was, at least to some degree, influenced by this image of these elite cavalry forces charging down against a superior army, charging down the side of a hill, mountainside. It's just too epic. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to try not to ramble too much this time, so I think we'll just call it good here. After I thank everybody again for putting me on to Sabaton in the first place, we will be doing 2, possibly 3 Sabaton a month. Just depends. I want to mix in some other musical things, epic rap battles and some others here and there, but we'll be doing Thursdays as a kind of a musical day for musical history. And Sabaton's going to be a cornerstone of that, along with epic rap battles of history. So I hope you guys are here for that, and I will see you all next week for more musical history. Till then, bye-bye.